Show, creative clash, human versus machine. Get ready to witness the battle between human ingenuity and artificial intelligence in a creative showdown. Let's welcome Associate Professor Oliver Bone and Adrian Linclum. Applause. There we go.
Hello everybody. Am I coming through? Great. I'm Ollie Bowne. I'm going to introduce Adrian in a moment. I'm an academic and associate professor in art and design. We're based over on the Paddington campus of UNSW. So I'm not a scientist, and I'm here to talk about music. You might be wondering why that is, but I reckon many people here have heard a little bit about AI and its use for creative work. So 3 years ago, this image appeared on the internet and it completely stopped me in my tracks. It's an image that was generated by DALL-E, which was an image generation tool made by OpenAI. And I've been working in this area of AI-generated audio, image, text, anything creative for a very long time. And this was one of the best things I've seen in a long time. It was generated with a prompt. Give me a chair in the form of an avocado, in the style of an avocado. And it's produced all of these high-resolution images that really do look like chairs, and they really are variously in the style of an avocado. There's quite a lot of variation in how that's been done. And they're original. There are chairs made that look like avocados, but these are all original variations. And this was a big thing. Now you might be looking at me thinking, man, this guy's old, because this is so old hat now, already 3 years on. We're very used to the idea that we can type a prompt, type some text into a piece of software, and it will start generating things like this. But we're still yet to really see how it's playing out, how it's being used by people. So you may or may not be surprised to hear, or you may know, that this is also happening in the world of music. This is a piece of software called UDO, which we're going to use today, and it does the same thing, but for music. And this website is quite interesting because it's really like a social network. There are people there making, putting in prompts and getting it to generate music, sharing it, editing the tracks, remixing other people's tracks and so on. You can go online and these are all bits of music that people have made. In my book, I published a book in 2021, exactly the same time that other image came out, and I was very excited to get my book out and talk about the world of creative AI. It was a bit disappointing that I published the book at exactly that moment when the biggest revolution in the area was happening, because I didn't get to write about it in the book. But in the book, I talked about the idea that you might send your father a birthday card in the form of a new song that you generated on the fly. New types of creative use that might come out of these tools. And so it was quite surprising to find that here I was very soon after that actually doing this. So here's a birthday card I sent to my dad earlier this year for his birthday.
You're on your feet. Another year wiser, life's just sweet. Right here in London's heart you tread. Hey Bruce, a new age just ahead. With the joy that you bring, the laughs that you sling.
So my dad's into the blues. I've always shared a common love of the blues thanks to him. He lives in London. He goes and loves to walk the streets. So I just put all these things into my prompt and it generated this song. The singing's there, it's lyrical, it's expressive, sounds real, and so this is quite a special place to be in. So, before I do that, let's make a song. Are there any science nerds in the room? No? You're absolutely in the wrong place, or maybe you came to see a talk about AI and music. Are there any science nerds in the room? Yeah. Okay. Who would like to suggest what we sing a song about, what we create a song about? Yeah. Shout it out.
The periodic table.
The periodic table, that's an excellent idea, great. Anyone want to suggest a style? Hip hop. Yeah? Okay, does anyone know anything about the periodic table? What might we say? Sing about? Yeah. The elements, okay. Let's get into list some of the elements. Alright, let's just give it a go. Can we cut to the laptop? See if my typing's any good. Okay. So this takes a little while. We'll come back to that in a moment. We can cut back to the slideshow. So what's going on behind the scenes? The important thing to know is this is pretty much a black box, meaning that it's a closed, deep learning system, a machine algorithm that learns. We're not controlling, or the creators of this tool are not controlling how it learns. They're not writing algorithms that say how melodies should be generated. It's all done by learning, except maybe the bit where the lyrics and the song are put together. So this is what music looks like when you record it. It's a waveform. It's the movement of the speakers, the movement of the sound in the air, encoded as a list of numbers. That's all music is. That's not all music is. That's what it is when you encode it on a computer. And the AI's job is to simply predict, given something that's already happened, what should the next little movement of the speaker be. So this is happening at a very fast rate, thousands of times per second. We're updating the numbers in that database. But even though it's happening at this incredibly fast rate, about thousands of times per second, the speed at which speakers vibrate and cause your ears to vibrate, and you get this audio signal. Encoded in that is information at lots of different scales. You've got the timbre, which refers to the sonic qualities of the sounds you're hearing. You've got rhythms, melodic structure, you're hearing frequencies, you're hearing longer term structures. So the clever thing that's happening in these algorithms is that they can work over very different timescales. They're very big, they take a lot of computational power, but they can work things out like that. In addition, these algorithms are also integrating two different modalities, text and audio. So when you train this system, you need to teach it about music, but you also need to give it the words that correspond to that music. So the people that make these tools, they will be gathering massive data sets of sounds and the words describing those sounds. Not just the track names, but maybe reviews of a record or something someone said about the music. And then, in addition, the lyrics are being generated, which is a separate process, but it has to be done in a creative, lyrical way. It can't just be spoken over. So all of this has been put together, and that's what we've got. Okay, let's have a listen to what we got. I've got no idea what we're going to get here. We can cut back to the screen.
First number one on the list. Helium got me floating high in the mist. We got lithium, beryllium, red. Nitrogen, oxygen, all day. Neon light, sodium and lead. Magnesium, aluminum, checks that sweat.
Let's have a little value. You want to do that? Let's have a little evaluation. Who thinks that was passable as a piece of music? Okay, that's pretty good. Who thinks it was a really great piece of music? You'd buy that. Oh wow, okay. All right, we've got some AI music lovers in the house. That's great. At least, I mean, I'm not sure, but at least they've got some of the elements in there. That's okay. All right. There's one thing. We can come back to the slides. There's one thing. This is currently a big issue in the law courts at the moment. These companies, many of them, not all of them, many of them, will use music, any music they can find. And it's a big issue. It's being contested in law courts around the world at the moment. Should they be allowed to use the audio they find on the internet to train their AI models to generate new music. Well, the music is different from the music they trained it on, so it's not directly copying. And that's the defense that they give for doing this. But it's having a big impact on musicians. Okay, so speaking of musicians, there's a piano here and it's not just for show. I'm going to welcome Adrian Lim Klumpus to the stage. And he's a bit like AI, but he's much more fun.
So I'm a pianist. I work here at UNSW in the music department. And I've been playing piano for a very, very, very long time, about 40 years. And I guess the opportunity here is to kind of, for me to help Ollie out, analyse what the AI is doing, and then kind of show you how it can work out of a human brain as well.
So, we've been in a band together for quite a few years as well. You could have mentioned that. I think it's 20 years I realise we've been working together,
yeah.
Or at least we've known each other. And we're both very interested in this. We had a discussion in the week leading up to this, and I got Adrian to play with Udio. And Adrian, who's a jazz pianist, gave us the prompt. And we think it was solo piano in a bit of a jazzy way.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So I'm going to play the Udio one first.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what was generated by the software.
Basic prompt of jazz piano. So the world of jazz is so vast, and then it's scoured data from who knows where, and then come up with that. And I can also mindlessly wonder, figure out what I'm doing. I'm not really making a composition here. So in jazz, what we do, this is called improvising. So, and I was talking to Ollie about this, and I can kind of, there's so much jazz language in what I do and what other experts do, that you don't really even think about it anymore. So if I was a classical pianist, I could play this without thinking, and my fingers are going to do the talking. My brain can actually do something else while I'm playing. So when it comes to jazz, what the AI was doing was just kind of putting nice jazz sounds together, and then having this melody which is actually quite well articulated. And the interesting thing for me is that it kind of does these things that are a little bit unpredictable, and that someone who is improvising in jazz might actually do as a bit of a left field surprise. And a lot of jazz musicians like doing that. I kind of start where the Udio track started. But then in my mind, I can then think, I'm going to take a left turn here, and change the key, change the style a bit. My brain can kind of just go on those tangents like that, whereas the AI kind of gets a bit stuck, and we only get 30 seconds of it at a time too.
So you were going to play an original piece of yours.
Sure, yeah.
Demonstrating
so,
how you think.
So like I said, that's me kind of playing mindlessly and not really thinking about it. So I said to Ollie, we kind of, in the world of music, we need to be able to consolidate our ideas and not just noodle around. we sometimes want to play a game. So if I'm going to be a great soccer player, yes, I can kick a ball around the field and I can pass to some guy and, you know, pretend I'm scoring a goal, but actually being in a game and focusing and strategy and all of that, that comes into composition rather than improvisation. So here's a little excerpt of a piece I wrote 20 years ago, which is in that kind of style that UNSW kind of came up with, and it goes like this. So that's something that I've actually, that I've worked on for many years. And, and as a jazz piece, I can make that go for 30 seconds, I can make it go for 5 minutes or half an hour if you really want. I can keep generating.
So we're going to talk about this idea of using human text input descriptions to generate music in the way that UDO is doing that. And we wanted to ask people, let's give Ado an instruction. How might you want to change that piece of music that he's just played? Make it more this.
Or you can make me start again. I'm happy to compose on the spot if you want to change it. It's almost like a theatre sports game.
Yeah. We have Chinese whispers here. Make it more classical.
More classical.
More challenging.
Okay, well there's lots of different types of classical, so if you kind of want to make it more in a Chopin style, let me think here. Oh, I'm getting the jazz again, sorry.
Does anyone want to suggest one more change? Because I'm going to record this one and we're going to feed it in. Yeah.
Reggae. All right.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Adrian, start again.
You can record it, are you?
Yeah.
So where we go? The thing with reggae is that it kind of stays in the same spot all the time. There's a lot of vibe to it.
Okay, we're going to keep talking while I try and do some very slow, much less impressive than Adrian manipulation of audio. So, my experience has been that when I listen to the kind of music that gets generated, it really, you mentioned expressivity, so one of the things that really impresses me is how expressive it is. And I find it seems to be pretty good at getting those catchy earworms. Earworms meaning that sort of music that really gets stuck in your head. Very catchy loop. And I think that's all about how typical it is. So it's been trained on so much data that it sort of finds the middle ground, the absolute centre of what it's doing. What's your feeling about what you've heard so far?
Well, the thing is with playing with that typicality, it's kind of like what the professor was talking about with the faces 15 minutes ago. Is that a face can kind of just be so generic that it's kind of like, it's new, it doesn't actually exist. So I guess the typicalities in music, or in jazz, which is what you heard Ollie generate before, is things like, this is for the music nerds out there, I don't know how many music nerds we have here, but it's things like chords like this. As soon as you hear these types of chords, hopefully if you have some musical background, you go one of two things. Oh, that sounds interesting. I've never heard that chord before. Or if you have a bit of experience with it, you might, that sounds like jazz, right? And that's because jazz is a very rich harmonic language. So what the typicality does, I think as soon as we hit the jazz tag in Udio, is that it said we're going to bring in jazz harmony, which you can look up in a textbook any old time and practice. And these are major 7th chords. There's minor chords with color notes in it. There might be minor 7th chords and strange modulations. So that's the typicality first. We're going to use this language, and what jazz will do is kind of put interesting sounds just adjacent to each other. When we looked at the heavy metal one, its typicality was going to be, there's going to be a heavy guitar playing riff, which this instrument won't really imitate. And when we did the hip hop periodic table one, it's going to be, we're going to have, just some really repetitive bass line like this with the drum part and maybe one sound effect in the back. So for me, it was interesting for Ollie to ask us in terms of in a jazz sense because the typicalities are actually quite complex.
Thanks. Okay, so can we flip back to the laptop again? I've just uploaded that recording, I hope I did it right, into Udio. One of the things you can do is you can feed it with original audio. It asks you to promise that you don't upload anything that you downloaded from the internet, so be warned. And we can put in another prompt here, so I guess we could ask it to continue this idea of changing style. Does anyone want to suggest one more change that we make? This is going to continue Adrian's performance in a reggae style. What do we want it to do next? Any suggestions? Yeah. Can someone relay?
Hip hop again.
Hip hop again, okay. R&B.
I'll put the votes in. It does do these
No, I think he's grabbing a drink.
genre mixes.
Okay, so let's just say backbeat. And we've got the audio in here now, so this is a bit different. And I need to make sure it's instrumental. Okay, let's extend. Okay, this is going to take a little while again. So while we're waiting, we have an expectant pause. It takes about a minute to generate.
Why does it take so long to generate all?
It's using a lot of computational power. So this is all happening on the cloud. You can get different AI models that have different sizes and computational requirements. But many people will know models like GPT or some of the image generators, Stable Diffusion. They work at very, very big scales, as I said. It's trained on a lot of audio. It manages to do that thing of understanding, in quotation marks, musical timescales by working with that much audio. If I can just flip back to the slideshow as well. One of the things I wanted to say here was that people have studied this, and if you're very cunning in how you prompt the system, you can get it to reproduce things that are pretty much like songs we know. And so from the copyright point of view, that's a big problem for these companies, because you, the user, just having a bit of fun with this system, might get it to generate something that's an identifiable track. A very significant researcher who looks at the fairness of these systems found, his name's Ed Newton Rex, based in the UK, and he found that he could get it to make fairly accurate reproductions of aspects of ABBA songs and so on. So be warned, and we'll see, because over time the copyright cases will follow through, and we'll see what the decision is. We've still got a bit of generation going on. So the one other thing I want to add as well is, hopefully something that's quite obvious, and Adrian's already suggested it, which is that the way these models work is you put something in and something comes out, and it doesn't have any sort of a reflective, iterative process. one of the things that we do in terms of the science of the creative arts is we look at the creative process in art and music and design and science and other areas. And the creative process that humans employ, which is incredibly powerful and refined, has at its heart the idea that we're searching. The whole point in especially scientific creativity and general problem solving is that we're trying to find an answer to something that you don't have an algorithmic pathway to. You don't know how the answer is going to come out. So almost inevitably it's to do with search. It's to do with looking around and trying out different ideas and seeing which ones work. So these systems don't do that. If you ask it to do something, it doesn't start searching for a reggae style composition. It simply pushes out something from its internal neural network that's already there. So that search process is not there, and that is something that we still do incredibly well. Okay, we've got a song now. Let's see what it did. So the beginning is going to be what Adrian played. And at some point around the middle, it's going to carry on. You'll know, I won't be able to tell.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
It can do very funny things.
So normally we do 30 seconds at a time. That's very bizarre.
Oh, it's picked it up again. It's found its feet.
This is really catching hip hop. Catching hip hop.
All right, what score would you give that, Adrian?
Oh. Just make me play for 30 seconds more.
How many people would buy that piece of music? Second half. Okay, that's a very strong agreement. Okay, it does funny things. I think that's one of the most simple things about it. It can do very sudden transitions and changes. I think we're out of time.
Say again?
I think we're out of time. Do you want to finish up by playing over that?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have one final jam.
Over that one or over something you generated before?
Over that one.
I thought you were going to do you had that the other big.
I can find one.
So as you can see, you can just generate and generate and generate. And so this is some of the things, and sometimes I'll generate just with a random title as well.
I didn't prepare that part, so I'm going to do it over this one. Okay, final show.
This is the this is what I did. Not much fun to go that time. That bit I don't understand.
Pick it up.
It doesn't make any sense. So it's kind of like this. It must be able to do whatever. You can't recognise anything. Musicality from the reggae version of my song.
Right, we'll call that one a failure. Let's skip.
And the great thing about experimenting is when they fail, you learn a lot more than when they succeed.
So, we hope you're going to explore this world and enjoy this world and embrace it, especially the youngest people in the room. Don't forget there was a time before AI could make music. It was a couple of weeks ago. And let's give a round of applause to our two musicians. Let's give a round of applause to Udio.
My message is that the machine, to operate a machine that has 88 buttons, is like really complex, and you've got to practice. So if you're in the crowd here, and your parent sitting next to you is bringing you to SciFest, and they can do piano lessons, the piano lessons is really important. Do that, it's so good for your brain. So, thank you.
Let's give a round of applause to our